welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in as always. Thank you for all your kind comments, likes, subscribes, discussions, shares, etc, etc. All very, very much appreciated. Right, bit of an unusual one today. Someone asked me in the comments if you could clean a car without touching it. So, apologies about the dogs. We have a incredibly dirty vehicle. As you can see, I can't remember the last time I washed it, but let's say it was at least 2 months, probably more, but hopefully you can see and agree that it is very, very dirty. Last time it was washed, it probably had touchless and wet coat to finish. My standard procedure. So we can also fairly assume that the coating is most likely going to be dead or clogged up. So all we're going to do today is we're going to hit it with 3 chemicals. No, maybe 4. So we've got Built Amber Auto Wheel for the wheels. We've got KKD Citrus Pre-Wash in there for the lowers, mixed at 25:1. And then we've got New Touchless in the MJJC, 75ml of. And then we've got Geon Wet Coat to finish. And just the lowly K2 Karcher and angled lance and nozzle standard. But the difference today is going to be no touching at all. So I'm not going to dry it. So let's consider this as like a, Mrs. is probably going to go out in the next hour or so. She's going to be going to the horse yard to go and feed the horses, muck out, etc, etc, maybe go for a ride. So the main goal for today is just to get rid of as much of this as possible, and then hopefully, if I time it right, she's going to get in the car, drive off down the road, it will be nearly dry, and the end results should be half nice. Now, the reason we're not drying it, because I'm not doing a 2-bucket wash, and we know that touchless and the KKD, with the best will in the world, if it gets rid of 60% of this, there's still going to be grime, granules, dust, grit, etc, etc on the car. So you can't skip the bucket and go straight in with a towel, because you'll be dragging that all around it. Now, I have considered this in the past. Now imagine this was FODS, washed every week, still showing a degree of bead. Coatings are working well. So in the past, I have done a touchless process on a car of similar cleanliness, and then thought to myself, oh, I wonder if I could just dry it now. So I googled that and had a fair old read up. No, the answer's no, because snow foam, the pre-phase, if you like, doesn't get rid of all the dirt. So as soon as you start, if you skip the 2-bucket method or rinseless, you're leaving dirt on the surface of the paint, and that's where you're going to start introducing swirl marks. I did consider doing foam and then layering on a thin film of pretty weak O&R or similar rinseless wash in order to remove the requirement for drying, so to use it like a drying aid. But I thought, I'm not too sure. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments about that, and you know, depending upon how this goes, maybe I'll try. I know that if you use distilled water, you can leave O&R on, no problem at all, rinseless. I do have a bottle of distilled water, so maybe that is a future test. Anyway, KKD, that's going up in arches, lowers, just to start breaking down some of the grizzly. I'll go back round if I've got enough. Obviously I'll go back round and do some of the uppers as well, just to use the product. So look, lovely grizzly grime. That's what we like. And as you just saw from the Fabia, the weather's been kind to the Fabia this week. So it's not in dire need of a clean. I probably will clean it, but it's not in dire need of a clean. So we'll get all this on. Make sure we're keeping the surface wet at all times. Good. Just enough pressure to get round the entire car, which is what we like. So let's do a little section on slightly uppers. Just let that run down. Try and hit little bits of bird poo. And that is that. So as I say, we want to keep everything wet at all times. Another thing to consider, if you're going to do this sort of thing, this is what we want. Not too much sun, trust me, it is well and truly hidden behind the clouds. We've got a nice kind of moist day, so everything's going to sit on the car, not necessarily dry. And when we finish, the sun isn't going to bake on the water, and then that'll introduce water spots. So it's doing its job. Let's get this on the stand a minute. Back to GoPro today. None of that gimbal shenanigans, shall we say. Excuse me. Right. Turn that on. And yes, it has been a bit cold. A bit fresher. Right, let's just try. Lovely. Let's put the GoPro down while I'm doing that, I think. My apologies. If you ever wonder what the clicking and clacking is, it's me pulling out the little legs on the tripod. Right, need 2 hands. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see my beloved wet coat being dragged around the floor by the hose. Eesh. And I meant to set a timer. However, I didn't. But I'm doing this in one shot. GoPro has been running for 11 minutes, 18 seconds. So I think we can let that dwell for a bit. Just checking to make sure chemicals are wet on the wheels. Flip the lance upside down. Start getting into the arches. First of all, while the chemicals sit and do their job, it's just good usage of my time. You know, normally I would do the wheels and arches at the same time, but we're trying to let the chemicals have time to have a dwell. So now we'll get into wheels. So I try and blast off as much dirt off the tyres as possible. So it's worth noting that, you know, this is a modern car with modern, pretty good quality paint, but isn't cared to the level of, say, Forester. You know, don't wash it every week. Well, all the wheels have come up nice, and I think we've got probably just enough time to do a quick inspection of those before I get into the rest. So if you're short on time, that achieves a respectable outcome without touching it. Obviously, nothing's happened to the barrels, so we're not expecting perfection in that department. Obviously, backs are always significantly cleaner than fronts, and they've come up a treat. Arch liners, not perfect, but improved. So let's get in and start. Actually, I'll put the GoPro here for a minute and we'll just blast, because this is a section we could see was incredibly grisly. So let's have a little play. So like I say, it's not going to be an award-winning finish, but if you're in a hurry and this is all the time you've got, it's a lot better than it was. Right, we'll get that fully rinsed. And then we'll start getting on some wet coat. And as I say, we're just leaving it to dry. That's going to be the bit that possibly introduces the marks and dirt and, well, you know, water spotting. Well, it's not looking too bad, is it? That is significantly better than where we were, and we're going to get straight in with wet coat in a moment. So this is probably the second most dirty part. You can still feel, you know, fallout, etc, etc. This section was particularly dirty. That's cleaned up nice. This side was filthy. I wouldn't be putting a cloth on that, but I'm happy with how clean it looks. GoPro timer showing 22.5 minutes, give or take, waffle, etc, etc. But we're going good. Right, get straight in with Geon, and then we're just going to leave it. And hopefully my partner's not going out really soon, because that will give us time to have a look to see how it dries. So this isn't for a, you know, the protection factor. This is to encourage spotless drying. And I appreciate there is a potential that you're locking in some dirt, but I think the benefits outweigh the negatives. Yeah, I'll give it a nice level of superficial gloss. Hopefully assist drying. You can see close up that it's not doing anything on the lowers because it's still dirty there. So even wet coat, you know, it's not going to provide a hydrophobic layer on top of dirt, although that is starting to respond.
recording? Yep. Good. There. And that's all she's done. Make sure that's well and truly mixed in.
Just really trying to make sure everything's well distributed, fully rinsed, chemicals neutralised. So you can see you're getting some nice water action on there. That's running off to nearly dry immediately. See that lovely big sheet. So all good. Right, that'll do. That will do. So it goes against everything. Well, you know, I'm fighting it. I want to dry it, but I'm not. So it's going to leave it. I'm going to check to see how long it is till my partner wants to go out and use the car. There are a multitude of options, really. One is that you just jump in it and blast down the road, and all that would go. So ideally, that's what I'd like to be happening next. Could contemplate the blower, but I mean, one part of me says, well, you're blowing the dirt around, but the other part of me says, well, if you drive down the road on a wet day, you're blowing the dirt around. Same deal. Who knows? And as I say, another option I did consider was covering it with O&R, just to let it as a drying aid. Anyway, we shall see. So we'll leave this for as long as I can, and then I'll get some more footage just to show us drying up. The other thing that really helps if you're contemplating doing this is pick a really, really moist day. I mean, in the summer, this would be a non-starter, but when you look at the other cars, everything's still moist and damp. Obviously, there's more water sitting up on the fab because she has coatings on her, so the moisture sits for a little bit longer. We're still seeing no sun much to talk of. Can't see any shadows being cast anywhere really. So we shall see how this dries up. But from a, you know, overall aerial shot, that's clean enough. If you were nipping to the shops and you had 20 minutes, or you wanted the car to look half reasonable, better than it did before, that'll do you. You're probably looking at below 50p's worth of citrus and 50, 75p's worth, maybe a pound's worth of touchless, probably 50p's worth of Geo and 50p's worth of built amber wheel cleaner, and that is it. Simple dimple plus your water, obviously. But you know, for 3-4 quid, you got a wash pretty good. Car's looking all right, significantly cleaner than it was, and you haven't got to entrust your car with car cleaners at Tesco, which is always a unnerving scenario because you don't know where the cloths have been, you don't know where the sponges have been, you know where the chamois have been. It's not good. Anyway, so I'm quite happy with that. That is 33 minutes on the clock. I'll go and check with my partner just to find out when she's leaving, so we can have a little bit more time for observing any drying marks. But I suspect it's not going to be too bad. Personally, I don't think it's going to be too bad. I reckon you'll get to this kind of level. So sort of okay. Not groundbreaking, but okay. You can still see it's a little bit grizzly down the lowers, but no amount of chemical is going to get that. But I reckon we're going to dry like this on the cleaner sections. Anyway, let's just check, see how much time I've got. I'll be back. So that is 10 minutes since rinsing. And as you'd imagine, this is what we're going to get. Some spotting, but generally not too bad. And check with the missus, she is off soon. It is still healthily in the AM. So I've got out, got that done, 20 minutes, job done. It's got a reasonable gloss about it. The lowers are still dirty, as we'd imagine, due to the level of dirt on them. But good news that the missus is going to go down the road in a minute. So that means the majority of these beads will just shoot off, which will be great, and hopefully leave a nice level of shine and kind of like a superfluous, clean-ish car. Wheels, good. 80% of the bodywork, good. When I say that, I mean the uppers. And I'll reiterate again, obviously being helped by the fact that it is very moist. If this was blazing heat, that would be getting baked on. But this feels all right. This feels all right. So I think after a little blast down the road, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Anyway, as I say, this was a response to a question that popped up on the channel from one of my viewers this week saying, can you wash a car without touching it? And, not my normal process, but pretty satisfying nonetheless. And hope you agree, the results are good. The results are good. Looks like a cared for car now. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you for tuning in. As always, if you're enjoying the content, please consider hitting that like button. It really helps the channel and the YouTube algorithm choose to share my content more and more and reach a wider audience. And obviously a sub would be massively appreciated. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. As always, I really, really hope you enjoyed that one, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. All the very best. Take care. Bye-bye.